Hiya Chris, lovely to meet up with you again and do some further work on your games. Great to see you, really productive session, and just as promised, a recap on the key parts of the session. A few subtle changes at setup to start with. The hands weren't working inwards enough, so we moved you a little bit further away from the ball. We talked about maybe feeling that the arms are angled out ever so slightly to help with that inward piece. We flured both feet out a little bit more. You can see here at the top left, feet quite square, whereas down on the bottom left here, a few swings later, we've got the feet turned out a little bit more. And we've also widened the stance to give you a little bit more stability. You're looking quite narrow, almost like you're hitting a pitch shot. And then the final piece was to move the hand, or the handle, forward ever so slightly. So what we've got here now on the bottom left, thoughts at setup: hands out, handle forward, wider stance, feet turned outwards. So they're the sort of keys for your setup position. In regards to the swing itself, we talked a little bit about pressure points being lost on the way back, but the real crux of the matter is that we rotate much too hard through the golf ball. And even though we're very much in at P6, by the time we get to P8, we're very much across. So there's a real turning of the corner down at the bottom. Body unwinds far too quickly, and that results in pulls and push cuts. Pull cuts with your shorter clubs, but mainly pulls with the irons and push cuts with the driver. So far too great a rate of rotation as you come through. So the main drill that we worked on was, as we see here down on the right hand side, right foot drawn back, right foot moved outwards, so you're in that bank position that you're looking for in the finish, and hitting a lot of shots in that manner to help just control the rate at which you rotate through the golf ball. That's in a rehearsed swing, but you can see there the left foot isn't rolling over like we see here on the top left. The hips aren't opening up at such a dramatic rate, and we're hitting out at the golf ball for longer, so the arms are out in front of you much more. So we did that for about 30-40 minutes, and this was what we ended up with. I'm just going to take you to impact on the original swing and then run this one through. So we've made the changes at setup, we've flured out the feet, stood a little bit further away, pushed the handle forward. From there now, it's a much better looking backswing, much more stacked over the top of the ball, was the comment you made in regards to your overall feeling. As we now come through, we're rotating at a little bit more of a steady rate, still not right, but more appropriate. The club is still in at 6, which it was before, and we can handle that. Now as we come through, the handle is leading a little bit more. The right leg now is the key. If you watch these two swings, top left and bottom left, right knee doesn't flex as much, left foot doesn't roll as much, hips are not opening up as rapidly, and the amount at which you're hitting out at the golf ball has also increased. So turning through it much less, hitting out at it for much longer. If we now run this swing through on the bottom left, we've got a flex forward going on at the finish, but nowhere near as much as we had on this one. So we started trying to learn to tuck the hips a little bit more, and the exercise we used for that was to isolate the key pieces. What happens during the through swing? Let's tidy that through swing up. So I'm just going to play you back here now to sort of P9 when the right arm's parallel with the floor on the through swing, and go through the exercise that we used to improve that. The first thing a player should have done by P9 is extended fully. So that move you see me demonstrating here, that's the tucking of the hips in the through swing. That's the extension. The next thing the player should have done by P9 is to max out the hip slide. So there's myself and demonstrating to you that you push the hips as far forward as possible. And then the other thing a player should have done by P9 is to rotate it through the golf ball fully. And you can see when you get that, the level of the belt has raised, the hips have tucked under, but the arms have stayed on the rib cage. That's a great exercise for you. I strongly suggest that you do plenty of work on that in between practice sessions. When you're out on the range hitting golf balls, get the right foot drawn back and out like we did with the exercise, and just keep hitting balls doing that. When you're away from the range or in between shots on the course, learn to tuck the hips, slide the hips and rotate the hips. Your body's very, very good at swinging to a position it's familiar with. So the more you can do that conditioning exercise, the more you're going to swing to that position when it matters the most. You can see already that although you've not done the drill as well as you'd liked, you've got much more axis tilt than we're seeing here on the bottom left, and even more than what we're seeing here on the top left. Good luck with it, keep tucking the hips, and I look forward to working with you again in the coming months. Well done.